Hey, welcome to this week's training. Today, I've got a really amazing guest for you. And it's someone that I really like, man. This is a friend of mine. This is a guy that I've been watching. And then I realized this guy's also a fucking entrepreneur and he's killing it in the game. I've got my buddy Kurt Nacewicz here. What's up, bro?
How's it going, Carlos? Thanks for having me, man.
Good, man. I'm happy you're able to come on the show. So one of the things that he and I started playing poker together. I knew he was in like the marketing or business space somehow, but didn't really know anything. But then he came over to my house, played poker, and this guy was a savage, killing people. And I'm like, how does this guy know how to play poker also? Became friends and started following his journey and realized he's really big in the wholesaling and real estate space. So I wanted to make sure we could bring him on, ask him some questions, and give you guys some really good info. So Kurt, man, if you could, for some of the folks who may not know who you are yet, can you give us a little bit of a background and a story on maybe what you did before wholesaling and real estate and how you transitioned into that?
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for having me on again, man. And for the poker thing, like I learned so much playing from you guys. I was so nervous going there. Like you guys are great. But no, I was born and raised in Connecticut in the East Coast, and kind of raised in like a blue collar family. My dad owned a manufacturing business in Bridgeport. So, my earliest memories are working there, literally like on an assembly line. So he would make dollies or hand trucks, and there was like 8 or 9 steps to it. And I would early on, I would work in one of the assembly line stages. So it was like brutal work, man. 8 hours a day doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And looking back, I'm super grateful for that because it taught me that I didn't want to do that. And like, this is what real true hard work is. So I had a lot of time to think, in my 20s, I did a lot of blue collar work, and I was I did swimming pools, electrical work. I was doing flooring. So a lot of different blue collar jobs. And I think the seed got planted in real estate a couple different ways. The first one was like when I heard about residual income. I remember learning about that, and I was like, that sounds like something I should go after. I mean, do work once and get paid on it forever. Who doesn't want to do that, right?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yes. Yeah. So the best way that I found is real estate to do that. So I had a couple big transitions in my life, and one of them was when I moved to Arizona. So back in 2018, I'd kind of already known I wanted to move out here to Arizona from Connecticut. And I was kind of talking to one of my neighbors about it. And he told me that he wished he had moved to South Carolina. He was older guy and he never got to move to South Carolina. And I saw the look of regret in his eyes, and it scared the shit out of me. So at 28, I decided to pack my Subaru up and drive cross country to Arizona.
What made you want to pick Arizona?
I needed a fresh start, dude. And I had one friend that lived out here, and he had just bought a house. So he was like, hey man, come live with me. I can rent your room for $550. Like, it was easy, right? I just had to get out there. So that's how I landed on Arizona.
So when you got to Arizona, was your buddy already in like this real estate space, or how did you kind of get into this mix now? Because it sounds like you have the bug from back home, but maybe did you start your business and work here in Arizona?
Yeah. I started it here in Arizona. My buddy was like in solar, so he was in something completely different. And shout out to Chris, he helped me out a lot when I first moved out here. But I just thought about what I wanted to do, right? I just made a huge change, moved across the country with one friend. I was like, what do I want my life to look like? And real estate was the thing. So I just started looking for like how to do this, right? And instead of trying to do it all on my own, I ended up working for a guy for 1.5 years. I still remember it was like an ad I responded to on Craigslist, like learn how to make money in real estate, no license needed, no experience needed, make over 100K a year. And I just applied to the job and started working.
Well, I think that's actually really interesting because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that will refuse to get a job. And one of the things that I've always thought, I'm like, and I was one of them for a minute, but one of the best types of training that I got is when I went to work for my buddy, Anthony Powell. And I didn't know how much I didn't know. He just showed me the game. He showed me all this stuff about copy that I thought I knew, but I really didn't know as much as he did.
Yeah.
And So getting that kind of job was a big like step up for me. Is that kind of what you were thinking? I mean, how most people just don't have that, I'm gonna go get a job, put in the hours and learn this game, you know?
Yeah, I think like for me, I just said I wanted to do real estate. I knew I didn't want to become like a realtor. I didn't want to like, you know, do a corporate job. And I said, you know, let me just go learn from somebody. Let me just see what this is like. Like I needed to take an actionable first step. And it was like going and working for this guy. And I learned a lot of great lessons that I still have today. Like when I first started working there, it was not like glorious at all. Like it was 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day of cold calling, you know, is calling as many people as you can that owned a home and basically said, Carlos, how you doing? It's Kurt. Just reaching out, man. Want to know if you had any interest in selling your property. Oh, you don't? Do you have another property you would sell, or do you know anybody else that would want to sell? So like that conversation over and over and over and over again. And cold calling is what we've built like our marketing off of now. So I learned a lot of lessons from working for those guys.
Wow, that's sick. That's sick. So was this for wholesaling? And if so, like, can you talk a little bit about what that is for some of the folks who may not know what wholesaling is in the real estate space?
Yeah. That was for wholesaling. So wholesaling, I mean, is essentially like you're selling opportunity, right? Like you are marketing direct to a seller and putting them under contract to purchase their house. And then in your inspection period, in the 10 days you have, you actually sell that or assign that contract to another buyer and make a spread in between. So it's heavy sales and marketing, and it's a numbers game. And you really want to like be as close directly to the source as possible, which is the homeowner. So it's a different way of marketing. We're not looking for like houses on the MLS or Zillow or there. We're calling the homeowner directly or texting them or marketing to them however we see fit. And it's super good because like you don't need a lot of money to get started. You know, you just need to really work hard. And I mean, you need like your earnest money, which is like anywhere from $100 to $1,000. And then
that's not much.
No.
So what's earnest money? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's just like it's a deposit. So if I go to buy your house, it's a deposit saying, hey, here's a good faith deposit that I'm going to commit on our agreement. And it's negotiable. Like the lowest I've seen is like $100. We usually put $1,000 down, but that's like allows you to open escrow. And then you have 10 days or 14 days risk-free to sell the deal or sign the contract.
Got it.
You have an inspection period, and if things don't check out, you can back out in the 10 days and get your earnest deposit back.
Got it. So essentially you find the person who may not even be selling their house at the moment, but you speak with them, you get them to agree to sell their house for, I'm just going to make up a very easy number, for like 100 grand. And then you find a person who wants to buy it for say 150 grand. And then you keep the spread in the middle.
Exactly.
That's the best because you don't have to actually buy the house, renovate it, or do you do that stuff?
You don't have to with wholesaling. You literally just assign the contract, and you're adding a lot of value to both people. I've found, because like the flipper, the developer who's buying it, they don't have time to look. They're too busy doing their work. And the homeowner usually like they have a problem for the most part. You know, there's something going on. They inherited the house or they had a terrible tenant. Most of the houses we buy are like retired landlords where, you know, the tenants beat up the house. Instead of putting 20 grand into it, they say, all right, let me take a 10-20% haircut and just sell it quick and easy.
Smart.
So yeah, it's a good little niche. And then like from wholesaling, you can get into other avenues of real estate, which is what we've been doing now. You know, we've been doing the Airbnbs, which I talked about, and flipping and a bunch of stuff.
That's actually what I want to go into as well, because it sounds like you've got your fingers in a few different areas. Like you're doing wholesaling, but like the place you're in now is an Airbnb that you're Airbnb-ing out, right? So like, what are so do you start with wholesaling and then you're starting to kind of venture into these other like things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we start off wholesaling, marketing directly to the seller, right? Getting contracts back and just looking at it and seeing what's the best use for this property. Like if it's like super beat up or have to put like 100 grand into it in a renovation, we'll just wholesale it.
Sure.
But if it's like something that's in a good area, like this one in particular is 3 minutes from where the Cardinals play, we're like, all right, let's keep this and let's Airbnb it. That's the best use for this property. So what's cool about like wholesaling and marketing direct to the seller is you're the only one looking at that deal. Like when you go on the MLS, you're competing with hundreds of thousands of people. But when you get it with the seller, you're the only one that has it.
Right.
So you can get some super good, deals.
What are some things, like if somebody wanted to jump into this space, into wholesaling, like what are some things that they should watch out for? Maybe some mistakes that you may have made or noticed that they can avoid?
Yeah. I think the biggest mistake that I see for newer people is thinking that they're going to get rich super quick. Like you can make good chunks of money, but for the most part, it takes a while. Like my first year in wholesaling, I made $26,000, which is not what I thought I was going to make. I worked longer and harder than I ever did, but it's just like, I think they think they're going to get rich quick. They don't put the work in. And then also they're spread, they're kind of scattered with their focus. So like one thing that we do that helps us is we only really do cold calling, and we're only in Phoenix. So we're super narrow on like our marketing channel and our market. A lot of people will go and like, I'm going to do nationwide, and I'm going to do PPC, and then I'm going to switch to, texting and cold calling. And you never really get to master one channel or one market.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. No, I think that's a big point, because a lot of people, whether it's in wholesaling or anything, they start jumping into so many different things, and it's like dabbling in all these different areas. And if you're just kind of dabbling around, you're never going to really see what you need to get to that next level, right?
Yeah.
What was it? And maybe you already answered it by saying focusing on like the one channel of cold calling, but what was it that I guess transitioned you from your first year where you made 26 grand or whatever to like the following years after where you obviously made a little bit more. So,
Yeah.
So what was some of the things that made that big difference for you?
Yeah. I think like, well, number one, just more experience, like I have people now, I've been doing this for 4.5 years. I have people now that are finally selling me their house that I talked to in year one of real estate. So
wow.
You start to build a pipeline and a funnel and a book of business. So number one, I would just say is I stayed consistent. I didn't quit. I feel like that's like half the battle of business. And then another thing is I'm super like, I look at my time very seriously, and I try to analyze what is the best use of my time. And something that I did recently that I think would help your listeners is I sat down one day and I wrote down everything I do in a day. And I wrote down like, what are my level 1 tasks? What are some things that I can hire a VA for $3 an hour to do, to take off my plate, so that the time I'm spending is moving the needle, is either bringing in revenue or working on the business. So I've eliminated all the busy work, I like to say, and I do things that either I like and have fun doing, like poker, or like, stuff that's like my highest and best use.
Yeah.
So
well, that shows your experience right there, I think, too, because especially whenever we start, regardless of the business, we're wearing so many different hats. But as you grow, you have to figure out what's your real superpower here, because the business can't really grow if you're focusing on all the other stuff that you're not that great at. You need to focus on what you're good at. Maybe you're great at cold calling or some of the other things. And so that's like your superpower. What are some of the things that you think are the biggest needle movers in your business?
Yeah. So always it's calling, it's talking to sellers is number one. Closing deals is bringing in revenue. That's the thing I try to focus on the most, like 9 to 12. Usually I'm super serious about like calling at that time. For the first 3 or 4 years, that's what I did. Just 9 to 12 was calling sellers, following up. Because most of these calls are not like one call closes.
Of course.
You have to call them a lot and build rapport with them. So the follow-up is where you make a lot of your money. So like having a good CRM and a detailed like to-do list will get you more deals.
Yeah, I almost wonder, this is like my marketing brain, because I'm not a wholesaler, so I don't know if this would work, but like my marketing brain is like, I wonder if you were to call these people up, let's say you've talked to them 2 times or 3 times already, they know who you are. Maybe another way, and maybe you guys already do this, but maybe another way to follow up is send them a printed out, instead of an ebook, maybe just send them a printed out report on like the 5 things you need to know when selling your house in 2022, some shit like that, right?
I love it. And that would help you differentiate yourself,
Well, I think so. And then the other thing you could do, we used to do this in our martial arts school. We had, and I actually have to give credit to Dwight Woods, who showed me this shit. But he was like, you know what we can do to differentiate ourselves? We need to teach the people who are looking for a martial arts school to sign up with. We need to teach them what to look for. And then we're just going to tell them what to look for. And we have all of those things that they're looking for, right? So he'll say, here's the 5 things you need to do if you're going to put your kid into a martial arts school. And so like, oh my gosh, I have a kid, I want to put him in a martial arts school. This is a free report I'm getting. Let me look. They have to have this. They have, and all these little qualifications, which just so happen to be everything that our school like fit, right? So
hey, here's the problem we solved. Yeah.
Well, and so it also helped with our follow-up calls. And so when we would send this out, we would send it, I don't know if I even have them. So I've a bigger version of this, right? Okay. A bigger version of this kind of yellow envelope or whatever. We'd send it to them, print it out, and then we'd give them a call like 2 days later and say, hey, so-and-so, this is Carlos from whatever martial arts school. Yeah. I was calling because I sent you something in the mail. You'll know it was from me because it was in a big package and whatever. If you have some other like things in there that sometimes you would throw $1 in there because you can say, hey, here's $1 to go towards your martial art, your like first class or some shit. We sent you something because it was a big package. It had $1 in there. Just wanted to make sure. Did you actually get that package? Yes. Okay. Did you get a chance to read? And so that's like our follow-up. Have you guys thought of doing something like that at all? Or do you think it would even work? I don't know. I don't know if it would work.
I think it would. I mean, here's the thing, right? These people get called a lot. Like you're trying to look for a way to differentiate yourself. I think it would work. You know, it's just with us, we do a volume game. Like it's so many different people. Like for the really good, super good leads, sometimes we'll send a handwritten note to differentiate yourself, or like we'll do a video message to them. But a lot of it's like, and it's hitting them at the right time. All of a sudden, you'll call this person, you know, they'll be hitting up every day, and then they wake up one day and say, I'm selling the house today, right? And they just want to sell it. And you might get lucky enough to call them that day. So that's the great equalizer. And what I always say is like, all marketing works. It's just what you do consistently.
Yeah.
I know people doing really well in texting. Mailers used to be a huge thing. Cold calling is our biggest thing. People are doing great in PPC. All the marketing works. It's just what you're consistent with, you know?
Yeah. Just got to pick one and go with it.
Yeah.
So what are some of the next things you're doing now? Because you're doing your wholesaling, you're doing Airbnbs now, you're killing it in poker. What's your future looking like over the next few years?
Yeah. I mean, I think some big goals in the future is like, I just want to add a revenue stream every year. So last year it was focusing a lot more on rentals. So I have the wholesaling and flipping stream. Then I have the rental stream, which, you know, is rentals and Airbnbs. And then, looking forward, this year we're very close to finalizing a deal to own a piece of a title company, which is cool because we use them to handle the transaction, and now to own that and get a revenue stream from that is super cool. And I think in the future, like just more businesses in real estate. Like we talked about possibly doing a bookkeeping business, or what our buddy Sal did, the VA companies.
Yeah.
Really me a lot. So just adding more verticals to the business.
I like it, man. I like it. This is why I wanted to bring you on, because I know you're already crushing it now. And I'm like, in the next few years, we're not going to be able to get them on a call. So I need to make this shit happen now. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on here. Where can people learn more about you and find you to see if they want to work with you, sell their house or anything?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys have listened this far, follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Those are the 2 spots I'm on, at Kurt Nacewicz. And, send me deals. If you guys have any opportunities in Phoenix, send me a deal. Our buddy Jason actually sent me a deal, and I'm buying a condo from him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Poker Jason sent me one. So I put in earnest money yesterday. So that's cool. And that's what's great about this business is you can like work with your friends and stuff, you know? So, so send me deals there. And if you're interested in wholesaling, just DM me and I'll send you our best list that we market to.
I love it, guys. Make sure you add them on Facebook. Kurt, how do you spell your last name, just so they can find you on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, Nacewicz, and it's Kurt with a K.
I love it, Kurt. Man, thank you so much for coming on, guys. Make sure you follow him, get on his list, do everything you can because he's the fucking man. So thanks so much, dude. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks a lot, bro.